Who would have dared to think that a single selfie could set off a storm? Jungkook finally opens up about Taehyung's absence from a warm moment with Jin, Suga, and Jimin. But is it true that V deliberately dodged? Is there a conflict that has been covered up behind the sweet smiles of BTS members? The photo does look warm, but why is it cold without Taehyung? Have you ever felt that there is something you don't see, but you can feel? A simple photo, a smile captured on camera, and an absence too conspicuous to ignore. That's what happens when selfies of Jin, Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook go viral. At first glance, it looks like the usual portrait of familiarity. But is it really so? One thing that immediately became the talk of the army around the world was, where's Taehyung? Why isn't V in the picture? Was it just a coincidence? Or there are much more complex, more emotional, and possible reasons? Painful. Jungkook, who had been known to be calm and full of mystery, finally uttered a sentence that no one expected. Not through a live broadcast, not through a long post, but through a short sentence he said in a behind-the-scenes recording session. Sometimes, we can't force someone to be there when their heart is somewhere else. The sentence hangs in the air. Too deep to be called a joke. Too sharp to ignore. And from that moment on, wild speculations began to appear. Is Jungkook referring to Taehyung? Is this a form of sarcasm? Or is this a form of protection? An internal source said that the photo shoot was not part of the official agenda, but rather a spontaneous moment that occurred after Jin finished a private conversation with Jungkook. Jimin, who has recently returned from individual activities, seems more reserved than usual, while Suga looks very focused on Jin. All the attention seemed to be on the genie, who had just completed something big. But why didn't Taehyung appear there? Is Taehyung really absent for personal reasons? Or did he choose not to come? Or, even more dramatically, was he not invited? The army was divided. There are those who call the absence of V a form of silent protest. There are also those who believe that V is in a condition that is not possible to attend. However, as Jungkook's truncated but meaningful voice recording circulated, the feeling of curiosity became more and more. There are things we can't share with everyone. Jungkook's voice was captured vaguely in a short 15-second video that went viral on X, Twitter. The video was removed shortly thereafter, but it was enough to light the coals. Questions arise insistently. What cannot be divided? Why keep it a secret? Is this about Taehyung? Jin, the oldest Taehyung who had been known as the guardian of harmony, instead chose to be silent. Even in his Instagram post, he only wrote a short caption. Thank you for being present. 4 faces, 1 selfie, 1 caption, and 1 unnamed name. Did Jin indirectly express his feelings about Taehyung's absence? And the deeper we dig, the more traces feel unintentionally left behind. A sentence from Jimin in a previous interview came back. We always try to be present for each other unless someone doesn't want to be seen. Is it just a reflection of the past? Or is it actually aimed at someone specifically? Jungkook's presence in the photo was also the center of the spotlight. Not only because he appeared striking with his tall posture that now equaled and even exceeded his Hyung, but because his eyes were not like usual. There was a look of sadness, like wanting to say something but being restrained. And when behind-the-scenes video showed him glancing to the right, the direction where someone should be standing but no one is, army snapped back. Even more shocking was the rumor that Taehyung had come to the location but left before the photo was taken. Is it true that he retreats regularly due to discomfort? Or does he just not want to be part of a celebration that feels forced? One of the staff, who did not want to be named, revealed that before the photo session, there was an emotional conversation between Jin and someone on the phone. Jin's voice sounded firm, then a long silence, and at the end of the call, he simply said, "Then, I understand." No one knows who's on the other end, but netizens are already speculating. Is it Taehyung? There is one more interesting fact. In recent weeks, Taehyung has been seen more often alone. His social media posts are reflective. The poetic sentences he uploaded alluded to losing the moment, finding his own way, and silence does not mean agreeing. It all seems like an internal conflict, but with whom? Is it possible that there is an invisible tension between him and the other members? Is this about an unapproved solo project? Or maybe about the conflicting feelings about BTS's future as a group? The climax of all this is when Jungkook appears in a special video and says, "Some stories don't need a lot of words. Just you see who is still standing by your side when you are tired." This sentence provoked a storm of emotions. Some army felt that this was a form of defense to Jin. Others consider this to be hard code for someone who is absent, even though they should be. But the biggest surprise didn't stop there. In a private Q&A session in the fan community, one of the army asked, "Is Taehyung okay?" Jungkook simply replied, "He knew we were waiting for him." One sentence. But it feels like 1,000 cues. Jimin finally opened his voice. In a short video session, he said, "We try to understand each other, and sometimes it takes time, but that doesn't mean we stop caring." Then Suga added, "Photos are moments. But our relationship is more than just a moment. It's like saying that what's not visible in a photo doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just that it's not ready to be revealed." Now, the question that hangs over everyone's mind is this the beginning of the invisible distance? Or is it just a silent phase before a tighter hug? The image is now a symbol. It's not just a portrait of 4 BTS members, but it paints a complicated picture of real human relationships, love, disappointment, understanding, and emotional distance that sometimes can't be described in words. We may never know what really happened that day. But one thing is certain, Taehyung's absence is not just a physical void. It is the silence that speaks the most, and in a world where cameras can capture everything, it turns out that there is still a sense of escape from the shots, but not from the hearts of the army. Is there anything more painful than being part of the story but not in the picture? And how long will this question hang in the air, waiting for an answer that may never come? But this news does not stop at one photo. It was precisely from that one moment, door after door of questions began to open. Like the plot of a drama written by Semester herself, Army begins to trace traces that had seemed ordinary but now felt strange after being viewed with new glasses. Could Taehyung's absence be a real form of an unhealed wound? One of the viral threads on social media created by Taehyung's biggest fanbase showed clips and moments that showed a slow distance between him and the other members, especially Jungkook. The video sets up a chronology since last year, starting with Taehyung's birthday event, which was only celebrated in person, not in the group's live format as in previous years. At that time, everyone thought it was just because of the busyness. But what if that was the first signal? In one episode of BTS's travel documentary in the past, there was a cut of a statement from Taehyung that has now gone viral again. She said, "Sometimes we can be together every day, but still feel alone." The sentence used to be considered a personal reflection of career pressure. But now, the words were like a prophecy in progress. Some fans began to question as well. If this isn't about conflict, then why didn't any of the members openly mention Taehyung's name when discussing the selfie? Aren't they always open to each other? Even in small things like who is late or forgets to bring things, we are again faced with one harsh reality. Silence is sometimes louder than sound. And the absence of Taehyung's name is a deafening silence. One of the most suspicious incidents occurred 3 days after the selfie was published. Taehyung posted an Instagram story that contained only one word in French, solitude. Solitude. Without context, without emoji, only black background and white writing. And he removed it in just under 5 minutes. But the world has seen it. And the world is guessing. Is it a form of expression of the heart that he cannot convey directly? Loyal BTS fans know that every word the members write is never arbitrary. They have their own way to convey messages, insert feelings in works, or even in short posts that for others look trivial. But for the army, every letter can be a clue. Then what about the reaction of Jungkook, who has been known as the closest brother to V? This is the part that hits a lot of people the most. In some behind-the-scenes footage, it can be seen that Jungkook is very enthusiastic about taking photos with Jin. But once the session was over, he sat aloof in the corner of the room, playing with a bracelet on his wrist that was known to be his friendship bracelet with Taehyung. He looked at his phone screen for a long time. No smiles. No laughter. And when the cameraman approached, he just said, "I'm just thinking about something." The sentence is delivered in an unusual tone, a tone full of meaning, as if you want to convey something but choose not to continue it. We all know that between Jungkook and Taehyung there was once a very close relationship. Taehyung is not just another fan-made duo. They really look like two souls who understand each other, strengthen each other, even when everyone in the world doesn't understand them. So what happens now? Why is there distance? And who started it? Some sources suspect that this could be related to differences in principles regarding personal projects. Taehyung is known to be very selective in choosing art projects, even turning down several international offers because he thinks they don't represent his soul. While Jungkook, who is known to be more flexible, is now actively preparing solo projects on a global scale with large international collaborations. Are they different directions? Or do the two feel like they no longer walk side by side? One of HYB's longtime staffers who had worked closely with BTS in the early days of their debut even leaked a surprising statement. In the past, when one of them had a problem, the first to know for sure was the other. But now, it seems they know from the media. It's sad, but that's the reality of change. We live in an age where everything can be engineered, smiles can be made, captions can be composed, even togetherness can be recorded without actually being emotionally present. But the army cannot be lied to. They know the difference between sincere togetherness and empty formality. And now, that one selfie is living proof that things aren't going well. There are also those who connect this incident with Jin's statement before his enlistment, when he said, "I don't know what will change, but I hope that after returning later, we will remain intact." What used to sound like a message of love now sounds like an anticipation of change. Did the genie already see the potential for harmony cracking long before we all realized it? Meanwhile, the media began to highlight also the role of HYB in this dynamic. Is the management pushing the members too hard to look perfect, even when they are not at their best emotionally? Is Taehyung's absence a form of silent resistance to a system that continues to demand togetherness even though the heart is far away? This theory was reinforced when a freelance photographer claimed that there were actually 2 photo shoots that day, one for the official media and one for the members' personal documentation. But only the results of the sessions with Jin, Jimin, Suga, and Jungkook were made public. Other photos? Never showed up. Is it because there is no Taehyung there? Or precisely because there was a moment with V that wanted to hide? We all now stand on the brink of a perplexing mystery. No one can be sure what exactly happened. But one thing is clear, Taehyung's absence isn't just about the physical. It is a symbol of the small cracks that are beginning to be felt between a brotherhood that had been considered unshakable, and as the world keeps asking, where's Taehyung? Perhaps the more painful question is, why does it feel like he can't be there? Is this the beginning of a distance that will never be bridged? Or is it just a silent phase before a tighter hug? There are still many unanswered questions. But the biggest question remains, if this isn't a conflict, then why does this silence feel like a scream? And when the morning came after that storm of speculation, what remained was not only silence on the part of the agency and the members, but also the pain in the hearts of millions of ARMY who began to question everything. What's really going on behind the scenes? Do the 4 smiling members in the photo also realize that their smiles actually reveal deeper wounds than the eye can see? A fan from Japan wrote in his blog, "It was like seeing a family celebrating a birthday without one of their children. And those who are not present are the most sensitive children." An analogy that makes many reflect. Because it's true, the relationship between V and BTS has always been shrouded in warm closeness, but also full of mystery, and precisely because of that closeness, Taehyung's absence becomes too real to ignore. There is no official clarification, no statement from either side. Even now, BTS and HYB's social media accounts remain silent, allowing this confusion to settle like an open wound without a bandage. What was most heart-wrenching was how Taehyung himself responded to all of this. He did not speak directly. Neither gives a clear message. However, he did something that only those who really know him can understand. Deleted more than 10 photos on his Instagram account, including photos of him together with the members. This action ignited a wave of anxiety. What does that mean? Is this a sign that he wants to stay away? Or is this just a momentary form of emotional anger? Or is there a hidden message that he feels no longer part of the story? One netizen found that the only photo left with the other members was a photo of Taehyung with Jin, an old photo full of laughter, with the caption, "Hyung forever." An irony that couldn't be more painful, because precisely the moment Jin returned to the spotlight after completing his military service, Taehyung was not by his side. In his last live stream, Jin had mentioned, "Many said we were incomplete in the last photo. But sometimes, you can only be with those who are ready to be present at a certain moment." A sentence that, when read emotionally, feels like a full confession of wounds. Is Jin implying that Taehyung refused to attend? Or was he really disappointed? Jungkook, who usually avoids controversial topics, looked different in his recent live broadcasts. He looked calmer, more downcast. And at one point, when ARMY asked about the members' relationship, he replied very cautiously, "We're still together. But being together takes more than just place and time." What does that mean? Are they not on the same frequency? Or is Jungkook conveying that the bond is being tested? Then came word from a music writer who had worked with V. He said that Taehyung had felt that he had become too quiet in the group's dynamics in recent months. That there are many things he thinks about, but doesn't feel safe enough to voice in the group. This sentence is very heavy. Is it possible for someone as powerful as V to feel that he has no room in a family that he has considered home for more than a decade? Is BTS really the same? Or time, solo projects, and expectations of the world have changed the way they love each other? That said, love that is not given time will wither. But the love that is constantly forced to appear intimate can be destroyed silently. Is this what happened between them? A slow destruction that is not visible on the camera screen, but felt for those who are sensitive to the language of the heart. There is also a growing theory in the international fan community that Taehyung's absence is not only emotional or personal, but rather a form of silence against HYB's internal policies. One Thai fan even mentioned that Taehyung was in a silent protest due to HYB's sudden decision to postpone the release of her solo project, while the other members' solo projects continued without a hitch. And when all that information is pieced together, like an incomplete puzzle, it casts a huge shadow over a bittersweet possibility that Taehyung's absence is not just a physical absence, but a statement. Meanwhile, the reaction from the ARMY was very mixed. Some felt angry, feeling that Jin should have spoken more openly. Some defended V all out, thinking he was just taking care of his mental health. Some also begged for all members to sit together and be honest with fans. But of course, all of them are just wishes that are difficult to grant, because the reality behind the industry is too complicated to explain in one clarifying sentence. In the midst of all that chaos, however, there was one thing that made it all feel very real and touching: a handwritten letter from a young 15-year-old fan, which went viral in the Weverse community. The letter was addressed directly to Taehyung. He wrote, "Dear Taehyung Appa, I don't know what happened, but I just want you to know that I don't need a perfect photo to love all of you. I just need you to be okay. So if you're feeling sad or alone, please remember, we're here. Even if you're not in the picture, you're still in my heart." The letter has been read hundreds of thousands of times. In fact, according to rumors in ARMY circles, the letter reached V himself. And maybe, just maybe, that's the reason why a few days later, Taehyung showed up quietly in Seoul, wearing a simple hoodie, staring into paparazzi cameras without saying a word. But in those tired eyes, there was a hint of light that might come from one thing: hope. Because no matter how bad the storm is going, ARMY believes in one thing: that BTS will not collapse because of just one photo. But the photo has opened the eyes of many people that relationships, even the strongest ones, can crack. Now everyone is waiting. Will there be a meeting? Will there be a hug? Or do we have to accept the fact that something has indeed changed? But the biggest question hanging like a mist over the mountain is this. If one day BTS returns as a group on stage, will Taehyung stand in their midst, or just be seen on screen as a memory from the past? And if that happens, are we ready to accept it?